August 29th is called to order at 6:32 p.m. And roll call, we are all here. Steve Workman, Michael Wadsworth, Nancy Alionak. And since that's all of us, it's most definitely a quorum. Do I have a motion to adopt the agenda? Okay,
Motion to adopt the agenda.
all in favor? Excellent. The July 25th minutes are attached to the agenda that was posted. Has everybody kind of taken a look at them?
Yep.
Well, I'll make a motion to approve the minutes and then we can go into discussion. Oh, that was fast. Okay, unanimous. So we go to old business. And old business is the SGM certification report, which was attached to the agenda that was posted. And if you looked at the N&E manual, which it only gives 10 days to approve a certification report, which if I'd thought about it, I would have increased, because that just depends on if there's a board meeting within that time. I mean, to present it to the board within 10 days. And, you know, depending on the schedule, there not have been a board meeting scheduled. Fortunately, there was one.
But you could still just present it to them and wait for the following board meeting for them to do whatever they're going to do. So it doesn't.
And that's what we've done, because it would have been the 25th.
Yeah.
And it's September 1st. So that's the way it is. I'm making a motion to approve the certification report so we can discuss it. Did you both look at it?
I did. I think it's fine.
It's a different format, and I think it kind of makes more sense because people.
What is an undervote?
No response.
No, that's not an undervote. So sorry, I'm speaking out of turn, but I'm running with it now. Haha, I took the floor. Sorry. So basically, on the ballot, like if there's two options, and the first one they vote, option A, and the second one they don't enter an option, that is then an undervote. So there's no vote counted there.
Okay. All right. Well, it said there was no response, so I guess that means they didn't do anything, but I didn't understand the undervote thing, but that's fine. Okay.
It means just also, it can be interpreted to mean there are not as many votes on your ballot, choices made on your ballot as you're entitled to make.
Yeah. Okay. So you're undervoted. Yes. All right. That makes sense.
Yeah, like
Okay.
if there are 4 candidates and you can vote for 3 of them and you only vote for 1, you have undervoted.
And then the other thing to bring up is, since we're talking about undervoting, and you were curious about that, I'm just going to mention overvoting real quick. I don't recall if I saw that there, but overvoting is basically, again, with option 1, you have choice A or choice B, and you mark both A and B. That is an overvote. You voted more than you're supposed to on that option.
And your ballot does not count, your vote does not count on that measure. If
Exactly.
there are other things you voted correctly on the ballot, other measures, those will count. You're only voted for the measure you overvoted. I undervote all the time on county ballots.
If there's nobody running against somebody, I don't even bother with it.
That's
Me
an
too.
undervote.
That's an undervote. Or when there's three I can choose two out of the three and I really like one and not the other two, I only vote for the one.
And I don't know if undervote and overvote is an industry standard term, or if that's just the term that Unilect is using. But
It's
that is what they
standard.
described it to us from.
It's standard term. I've heard it for years and years. I won't tell you how many because it would give away my age. Okay,
Okay,
so
so that passes.
that
right.
passes. Okay, well, I'll vote on, should we accept it? I'll tell you right now, what I gave you lacks the header that said the address header. Because this is in the form of a letter that will be sent to the board president. So it has all that Sudden Valley logo and board president, and that kind of stuff, but it's not, I just didn't want to put it out there in that format. But we have agreed to the meat of it, so that's good. Okay, petition guidelines document, and I will let the author go through this.
Let me see here. What I'd like to do is just go through it, like we've done before with documentation. I did revise it from the previous version. I do apologize for not being present in our last meeting to represent this myself directly. There was still just a couple little things I wanted to get in there, because I want to try and, keep this, again, making documentation for the future. So let me share my screen here right quick, and let me pull this out. There we go. And nope, I hit the wrong button. 2 more seconds. There we go. Share screen, and that one. Share. Okay.
Right.
You guys can see what I got?
Yep.
Okay. So I also, first thing I want to do, I didn't say this earlier, but this is the addendum to the entity manual. So I'm just want to throw addendum, however it's spelled.
Okay, send me what we finally do, and I'll see if the board is willing to put it on their September 1st meeting agenda.
I think the only thing I want to change is literally the word addendum. If that's too much, we'll go with the PDF I already have.
No, it's not, because I haven't sent anything
Cool.
to them. And in
So-
fact, I could even change your PDF to add that word on that.
Okay. Cool. So yeah, with this, basically the just for some background for anyone who's watching this video after the fact, the entity manual is woefully lacking when it comes to the petition process and how to move forward. This is basically the process that we came up with ahead of time and then during the actual petition vetting and going forward with the election. So we were trying to get it written down so it was codified, so that way, future entity committees are able to run with these or create their own rules. They can change this if they want to in the future.
This
But-
would set precedent for it, though.
Exactly. And since there wasn't a precedent before, we modeled a lot of what we have written here off of the way that the state petition process is done, because we needed to follow something. So petitions that are submitted to the HOA should have the following required fields: printed name, signature, street address. The petition should also include an optional field of lot/division. Below is the reasoning for each of these criteria. Street address is used to determine if the person signing the petition has a property within Sudden Valley. Printed name is used to cross-reference with the current database of properties in Sudden Valley to see if the individual who signed is an owner. It should be the full printed name of the individual present. If the name isn't listed in full, it may be removed during the verification process. Unfortunately, we had many individuals that did not have a printed name and just had a signature that was illegible. And we had no way to determine if that was actually an individual that was a valid petition signature or not. Signature is the person's method who is signing, the person who is signing's method of stating, I agree with this petition. Lot and division can be used in the event the handwriting for the street address is illegible and the street address cannot be made out. Lot and division is not necessary because a majority, it feels, and this is me projecting here, it feels that a majority of the owners here, myself included, don't actually know our lot and division number. I think I'm in 10, but I'm not sure. And it's something I can look up and I can find, but is what it is. If you have additional fields you'd like to include, you may include additional fields. Above are the only ones that are required to verify the petition signers. One thing that might be helpful for petitions in the future, and we might want to add this in here, is like a phone number or a mailing address or an email address. That way, as the people who are sponsoring the petition, if they notice, hey, we had someone out getting signatures, but they didn't actually get any printed names, we want to call these people and be like, hey, we want to make sure your voice on the petition counts. So it might be worthwhile, like, may include additional fields like phone number or email address to update the signature. Update the, what's the right word here?
Verify the signature.
To verify, okay, to verify the by the individuals submitting.
Or you could just say you may want to include additional fields like phone number or email address. I mean, that's enough because people can figure out why
Yeah,
you might want those.
The reason why I want to specify is because entity isn't requiring it. So I want to make a clear delineation between this is what entity needs and this is what we want as our petition is moving forward. So entity isn't going to be using these fields. That's only for the people who are creating the
Okay,
that's my reasoning behind it, but I'm also happy to, go with other language.
I'm either way.
I think it's fine. Have it in there. It
Okay,
makes it understandable.
The above are the only fields that are required to verify petition signers. I'm going to move this line up
that needs to go up.
because we just changed this with that.
Yeah, okay, that's fine.
When turning in a packet of petitions, please include the name, email address, and phone number of a representative of the petition. So if there are any issues, that representative can be contacted. I'm going to pop that down. Maybe. Nope, I'm not. Pull it back up. It messed up the spacing. So yeah, I want to, basically when there were issues with the petitions that we were trying to vet, we had no one to contact because we
Right.
didn't have this information. And we didn't want to get into a situation where person A comes up and says, hey, that's perfectly fine. We're good to go. And then person B is like, no, I sponsored the petition. I don't agree with this. And then we might have a legal issue on our hands.
Yeah. Okay.
So that's the reason for that chunk.
I just think it's a good idea. If you're going to present a petition, there is a name, there's a contact behind it. Because
Yeah.
when it came to finding volunteers, I can't Google anonymous
Right.
and get a volunteer.
And that's also why I wanted to cover the finding volunteers process, because that wasn't in the original document. I wanted to get it in here. So the process of locating volunteers should be as unbiased and impartial as possible. When a petition is submitted, you should find one volunteer from the petition supporters and another from its opposition. This way, both sides are represented. More volunteers can be gathered. I don't know if we need to put anything more than that, but
I think you should find volunteers from the supporters and from the opposition. And then you don't have to have the word one. Just take one out and make that volunteers, plural. Then they could have, more, but an equal amount from each side. So,
The only thing I'd add is the entity committee has the right to vote out volunteers. Because if you get somebody on there that's really disruptive of the process, that does not seem to be interested in working through the guidelines or is abusive to other members, we want to be able to get them out of there.
I don't think we can do that.
I think we can. because we're asking for volunteers and it's at they're not elected from anything. And it's at our discretion. Our meaning whoever's on any at the time.
Right, right. I'm just trying to think about like how to word that and also like the chaos it will cause if that happens.
Well,
I
you
think we
can
should
get
put it in
people
there.
on there who simply will not accept another person's opinion, who will keep saying the same thing over and over again. And I have seen a person whose name I will not mention do that excessively in committees. It's the same, go through and say the same thing 9 times, hoping that at some point people will just give up and go, yeah, okay. And that happens.
Trying to deadlock the process. No, I get that.
Yeah,
See, I'm not sure that needs to go here in the volunteer process because this is talking about trying to find and get volunteers, not talking about running the vetting process or running the meeting. I think that is better served elsewhere.
Yeah, we could add that more toward the end, saying,
Like down in this chunk,
yeah.
down
down
here
further.
somewhere.
Yeah.
Because like basically, when the decisions to move forward are going to be NNE's decision to move forward.
right.
And we can throw that down there. So we'll get to that. I'm just gonna put moving forward. I'll replace it in a minute. So volunteers can be solicited by the NNE committee directly. Since also the other reason I'm throwing this in here is we didn't actually have any real like rules or guidelines on how to get volunteers. Like, I mean, and I'm not saying that we have to, but at the same time, like if we're a committee, our committee chair should be our sponsor talking out and about with everybody. But, making sure that these things are agreeable to move forward with. So volunteers can be solicited by NNE committee directly via a letter in the views or posting via letter or as an article in the views, the better term.
There's not time for an article.
Okay.
I mean, face it, when you get the petition, you start right away because you've got how many days
Right. Okay. So really the
to
views is
get it out there?
I'll do that if time permits.
How about rather than social media? I'm not on social media by posting a request, an announcement on the Sudden Valley webpage.
Okay, so we'll go with this. Social media or on the Sudden Valley website.
Website.
Okay. Reminder, since the volunteers are not publicly elected officials and elections can be polarizing events, keeping their identity private is suggested. If the volunteer decides to publicly disclose who they are, that is their prerogative.
Right.
Okay,
So vetting process. Yeah, I got it. So here we go. Since the vetting process involves a committee member looking up and disclosing their looking at members and disclosing their email addresses and lot and division information, the vetting process should not be streamed in an effort to protect people's identities.
okay,
Right.
Print a list of all owners sorted by street address. This process works best by having 3 people to verify the petition. If you have 3 people, 1 to read the address aloud and 2 to check the printed database, have the NNE member handle the petitions. Do not let the volunteers touch the petitions. So yeah, the moving forward needs to move down more. And that's fine. I'll do.
What are you in? Oh, Google Docs? Is that what you're in?
I'm in Google Docs.
Okay.
We're gonna throw the moving forward down here in this chunk.
Okay,
because it's going to be disagreements. The entity member will read the address aloud. The volunteer will locate that street address on the printout and read the name associated with the deed. The entity committee member will acknowledge whether that name is on the petition or not. If the name matches what's on the petition, the volunteer will add a mark on their printout indicating this address has been verified. If the name does not match, hold on.
doesn't have to be the chair.
That's but I mean, the chair is the one with the thumb drive with all the digital stuff. So that's why I was trying to keep it so that no
Yeah.
one meddling with that.
Okay,
The volunteer will the enemy. Okay, yeah, that's at the bottom. I'm getting distracted. All right, verify. If the name does not match, have the entity chair verify the digital database to see if there's a discrepancy and if that individual should be counted. If so, the volunteer will add a mark for that address. If the signer is not valid, the entity member will mark it as invalid on the petition along with the reason. When the entity member finishes with the petition page, they will count up the number of valid signatures and add a number to the bottom of the page. And then that comes into the next chunk down here below of counting total number of signatures. If there is a disagreement on if a petition signature is valid, the N and E committee will decide and move forward to the next signature.
yeah, that's fair, because you really don't want to put that on a volunteer.
This process shouldn't be. Sheesh, I can't type tonight, y'all. Process shouldn't be placed on a volunteer. Counting total number of signatures.
There's no comma after all. They're using it as an introductory. That software wants to put it in because they think it's an introductory clause.
Oh, I think I just typed it there.
Okay.
Counting total number of signatures. After all petitions have been reviewed, the person with the printed database will count up all the marks they have added to the printout. This is done easiest by totaling the checks, the marks, and writing. Or did I already talk about that? Oh, it's already there. Never mind. Thank you for your patience. Meanwhile, the elected entity committee member will add up all the numbers they have marked at the bottom of each page. Once both parties have come up with their completed numbers, the totals will match. Ideally, if none of the numbers match, the petitions will need to be recounted by starting the process over. If the petition total matches one of the printed sheets, cross-reference the two printouts and see which printout is different and reconcile them against the petitions. The other thing that we haven't touched on, it might be here later. It is going to be in what is a valid petition signature. All right. Any questions about this so far?
Nope.
Okay,
That's
cool.
all
That's
good.
All right. What is a valid petition signature? During the above process, the entity member will review the signers of the petition to verify there is a printed name and signature and street address. If any of those fields are missing, that signer does not count towards the petition.
Oh.
The name must be written in full. If the name is written as J. Doe and the owner is named John Doe, there is no way to verify that J. Doe is in fact John Doe, and the signer would be removed from the petition. There we go. Extra. Sure, extra commas. If someone writes their name as J. Edward Doe and the deed states John E. Doe, this is a valid entry. However, if they wrote the name as Edward Doe and the deed states John E. Doe, that signature cannot be verified as the same person and they are removed from the petition. Let's add a little spacing to get that all down on the same line.
If we had insisted, well, I think that's the way to do it because a lot of people just don't use their first name except when they're signing a legal document.
Right,
And
which
people forget that this petition is a legal document. And you need to think about it as a legal document, like you're buying a house or something.
and that's why I want to bring these up, because we want to make sure that, you know, the right person is signing it. We don't want to end up with, you know, someone's kid signing who isn't supposed to be allowed to.
So,
yeah.
On this line here, it says, blah, 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 says, and they are removed from the position. Shouldn't that say that that petition is just set aside for verification? Isn't that why we got the name of someone to contact and find out, you know, is this the correct person that assigned it? Like we had a couple that Nancy and I did, and we had to check and we found out, yeah, they were, and then it went back in. We didn't throw the petition out. We verified that it was good.
We verified it with our own database, though. Either the online database or not online database, but
What
the
I'm
full
saying is
database with it.
Those petitions should just be set aside, and there should be an opportunity to get them to pass. Right now it's just, they're all just being chucked out. There should be some way to get them to be verified so they can pass.
We
And
just,
don't disagree with you at all. The thing is, in this current one, since we had no one to contact, we couldn't.
Yeah.
But that's definitely something we should throw at the bottom.
Well, all right, we'll throw it back in there.
probably the best way to do it is most petitions were not like the three we looked at, which were so very close. Most people get, at least 25% more signatures than they need.
But again, the point of this document is to help for the future. We don't know if
Right.
there's going to be another one where they're right there with the skin of their teeth or not.
Well, but what I'm saying is that sentence there, it says they are removed from the petition.
Right.
Just say it.
That should be, they should be that, not they are removed, the petition, that petition is removed.
Or that signature is removed pending future verification. How's
And-
that?
We'll do future verification stuff down here at the bottom,
All right.
Okay,
because basically, we're talking about what this chunk is talking about, what is a valid signature, and
Yeah.
then what to do about invalid petition signatures. And absolutely right, I missed that.
Okay.
So that's why I added that note to the bottom to get that paragraph written in a moment. If the name of the petition does not match our records, for example, the signer does not count, the petition signer does not count towards the total number of collected signatures. For example, if Jane Doe signs the petition, but only one person, John Doe, is listed on the deed, then Jane is removed from the petition. Jane's signature
Okay.
removed from the petition. I'll make more of those adjustments because we're changing the terminology and it's totally valid. If you-
usually, sorry, the way petitions are done is you just go through until you get the minimum number, and then you even stop counting. So in questionable signatures, you just go on to the next one. And until you get your total number that you need for
Okay.
it to be a valid petition. And if you don't, you go
Then you
back
have
and
to go
look
back.
hard.
Yeah.
So the problem with that is our whole process is talking about going through everything.
Yeah.
Like we aren't getting a total until we've already gone through and verified everything.
And
Yeah.
I think that's the way it should be. I think you should be able to have this number of valid signatures on the petition rather than, yep, we got to 313 or whatever. I think that was her magic number.
Yeah,
Cool.
That wasn't how it was done on the past petitions, not on the bylaw petitions or the recall petition from 2020.
Well,
So
I'm glad we have a
I'm fine
process.
with this.
So if you have a deed that belongs to Jane Doe and John Smith and the petitioner signs Jane Smith, that is counted as a valid signature. So you're able to see the lines between them. If you're going through addresses and someone is signed twice, the second one is an invalid signature.
okay,
If you are going through addresses and the deed shows two owners of the property and each of them signed, only one of the signatures is valid and they count as one. If someone has 5 properties, it should be spelled out. Screw that up. Yay. If someone has 5 properties and they sign for all 5 properties, then that is 5 petition signatures. Additionally, if someone has 5 properties and sign for one property, that is only 1 petition signature. If someone is listed on the deed as Richard Nixon and they sign Dick Nixon, verify that Dick is a common nickname for Richard. Similarly, Sally is a nickname for Sarah. If it is a common nickname, then it is a valid signature. This can be done with a quick internet search.
okay,
What to do about invalid petition signatures? If you are, how do I want to say this? So basically what I'm thinking here is, if you go through and there are enough signatures for it to be valid, you're
Yeah.
done.
yeah,
If you go through and there are not enough signatures to be valid, then you need to reach out to the presenter of the petition, ask how they want to move forward.
yeah. And
Um,
that's a good, that's just what you put there. That sounded great. If you've
Oh, yeah.
reached the 10% is what you have to have of total owners or signatures.
With okay.
Your fingers are misbehaving.
yeah, pretty much. The count.
Well, I'm kind of on that, see how they want to proceed. The answer could be, we'll just accept them all, of course.
Well, they have to be verified.
Yeah,
Right.
It
No,
just-
I was going to go into that next.
okay.
So, I mean, from my understanding is if the petition presenter says, hey, we're good, we're done, it can stop everything. Like we don't have to move forward with the election or anything like that. It can stop right there dead in its tracks. So they have the option of saying, hey, we're going to stop. We're going to, reach out to these individuals, get the needed signatures and then resubmit, which is something they should be able to do.
Which would restart the clock.
No, you don't restart. You have to do petitions all over again. We'll let them, this is one of the problems with involving it, asking how they want to proceed. We can't give them that choice. They
Well, I mean,
proce-
There's 2 options. They can proceed with what does meet the criteria, or they can stop the process. Right?
and just give up on the petition and
Right.
start all over again. They
Correct.
always have that option. We don't need to tell them that.
I mean, they might not know it.
Well, of course, if the petition fails, that's what you're saying.
Yeah.
Is short. And the petition fails at that point, or they are able to. No. It still fails. Either the petition fails. It's
Or-
not an either or.
They Yeah, no, it is just the petition, yeah, no, and notify. That's it.
Yeah,
I was thinking that, it was a situation where you could have like multiple petitions that are, but it's each issue is a single petition.
Yes,
So in this
Yeah.
situation, if we had had someone to contact, we would reach out to them saying, hey, Josh has failed, AJ's and Sonia's succeeded, and we're able to move forward with them. Josh has failed because these, and we can give details about why it failed. I think. Because we know the petition sponsor, and they're the ones who would have gone through and verify everything on their own, right? So there's no
that's
legal,
what I think. If we have a set, we ought to be able to take this set of rules and hand it to whoever the sponsor was on this thing, because they scanned those petitions before they turned them over. I mean, nobody puts together that much paper without having a copy for themselves.
yeah,
They handed over the originals, they made a copy. They ought to be able to take your rules, Steve, and go through those petitions if they wish to, and come up with the same number of valid signatures as we did.
right?
That's the purpose of a rule of this document, is consistency across different petitions and
Right.
different people looking at them.
I don't disagree. So yeah, that's the document.
okay. Looks good.
Okay, so we're in agreement on this one?
I think so, but I can't just add addendum to your.
Right now, I'll resend it out here. I'll save it in moments and send it out to all of us here in just a moment. But we should, I motion to approve the document.
I second it.
All in favor? I've given up on seconds with this committee. It's just too small to do that with. I mean,
Well.
once you seconded something, that's the vote. Though technically somebody can second a motion and then not vote for it. But I don't think we
Okay,
play parliament games.
But the parliament games are my favorite part of the meetings. It's fun. I'm ridiculous. I know it. We can do whatever. I don't care. All right. I'm exporting that PDF right now, and I will reply all to the email that you guys currently have. And this one here, reply all. Where'd my file go? Oh. There it is. And it should be in everyone's inbox.
okay.
No. It's been sent.
And that's that.
All right, so let me update the notes. All right, new business?
New business.
Approve AGM proxy items. I think I sent them out to you
Yeah,
a few minutes ago. And they're exactly like we had for the SGM with all the dates changed.
yep.
So,
Yeah, they look fine.
okay. Obviously I couldn't put the ballot on the back of the proxy application like we're supposed to, because I
Yeah.
don't have a ballot, but I will do that.
So the candidate application deadline is September 6th.
Yes, at 4:30. So we will need to meet at
Sorry.
4:30 at the admin office, September 6th.
I'm sorry, I wasn't ready to move on. I was still looking at the proxy.
Oh,
Um,
I'm sorry.
It's okay. So we, at the top of the document, and maybe I'm looking at the wrong document. One of the first things we say is check only one of the following, and then there's a box for directed proxy with no other boxes available.
There's not a
There's a
general.
general
proc-
proxy underneath it.
Oh, okay. So I want to propose we change it to say mark either directed or general proxy, because I was looking at them like being side by side
Ah,
and I was confused.
okay, so what you want to say is mark. Or
Either
just, how about
directed or general
choose
proxy.
directed prog? Is choose okay?
Yeah, I'm not too particular on the words. I just want to make it so it's clear right up front, because typically when I see check one, I'm usually given multiple choices right there instead of multiple choice there, and then further down the page is the other option.
Okay, I can do
Well,
that.
it has a box. I mean,
Yeah, I like here. Let me
Okay, check only one of the following, directed or general process,
All right.
proxy. Is that, they're not side by side, but
right. So like what I was
you want it, okay.
check either
Check. Okay, check either directed or general proxy.
yeah, let me just show you what I'm looking at. This one here, share. So literally, I just wanted to, I can't see the boxes here for whatever reason, but
Ah,
just update it like that. So that way it's clear they're looking for this box or that box.
yeah,
Because I was expecting to be here and, here and here, which it isn't.
either. Yeah, I'll just change that line.
Yeah. Sorry, that was the only thing that, because as I said, I looked at it and I was slightly confused. And I would rather us not have our, members be confused. It may just be me, I'll own that.
I have to go in there and change anyway, because I've got draft
Mhm.
all over this.
Yep.
So I'll do that.
Cool, thank you.
And we don't actually need this until October 1st.
Right. And that was the only feedback I had. Everything else looked good to me.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so we're moving on to AGM candidate application deadline vetting and ballot lottery on the 6th. Remember that from last year?
We just approved that, right? Do we vote for the document?
Oh, that's right, we did.
Sorry, I tried to make.
All in favor of the proxy document with the change to check either directed or general proxy.
yep.
Cool.
Great, we voted. Thank
Thank
you.
Sorry, I just wanted to get that noted as approved.
Okay, now AGM candidate application deadline vetting and ballot lottery is September 6th. This is just, that's in there just as a reminder. And will you all be, both of you be available?
How long will this take?
Depends on how many people are candidates.
I have a meeting at 6 o'clock on Tuesday night.
Oh, that should be okay.
All right,
Is it a long ways away or?
no, it's at the
Okay.
library.
Oh, that's not a
Okay.
problem. I don't see it taking more than an hour. I think it took less than that last time, but there were only 3 candidates to that.
Yeah, I'll be available. I have a
Okay.
half day that day, so I'm around.
Okay, so we'll meet slightly before 4:30 at admin on September 6th, and I also need to alert admin somebody is going to have to stay late to vet the candidates. Because they'll do that online. Okay, then I was going to go to AGM ballot package discussion. What our contract with Unilect says is NNE will provide Unilect with all final ballot packet information as soon as available, but no later than September 9th. Unilect will design and provide proofs for all election materials prior to going to print. The thing we will have to do, most of the stuff is not ours, like a Dear Community Members letter from the president, the notice of the AGM and the agenda, we don't do that. Attendance instructions, we don't do that. Measure 1, the proposed annual consolidated budget, not our problem. Well, you know what I mean. Bylaw amendments, if any come up, and the SVCA acronyms list. Candidate biographies and photos and methods of voting are things that we would do, but I don't know that we need to meet to go through those.
A lot of it, most of it has nothing to do with us vetting the candidates.
Right, we will have done that already, and
Yeah.
all I'll be doing is taking whatever photo they give me and whatever bio they've written, putting them on a Word document and sending that to Unilect as an item, and for a ballot, giving Unilect the order that people will be placed on the ballot in. And that's just typing a list. So I'm in favor of not trying to have a meeting on the 9th. Is that agreeable? I'll send you, of course, because I think need to see what is going in.
Well, yeah, I mean, I definitely want to see it, but also at the same time, like, we don't edit what they've done after they've already submitted it.
No, it's just,
There is one thing I definitely do want to make sure that we bring up with Unilect, and I know that I talked with Andrew about it a little bit in person, but we didn't have anything on the ballot showing how to mark the vote. And some people were doing X's, some people were doing check marks, some people were filling in the boxes, some people were doing a line through it. So just trying to make sure that we have a visual representation as to what the system is looking for. So if we can bring that up with them.
yeah, what I had done is I scanned my Whatcom County ballot where they have that little graphic of how to vote with a picture of the hand doing it and how to correct your vote if you want to change it, draw a line through it and all that. And they're going to put something like that, maybe not exactly that Whatcom County graphic, but
Right.
something that shows how to change your vote and how to mark your vote.
Yeah, when I was talking with him about it, he said that they actually have something like that already available. They just, for whatever reason, didn't include it in that document. So just want to make sure that since it had been talked about, I wanted us to, be able to move forward with it.
Yeah, well, we'll have a chance when we get the proofs to do that.
Yeah.
Again,
Question. You mentioned if there are any bylaw changes, would have had to have a petition going around to do that, right?
no, the board can vote on a bylaw change.
So somebody could put in like a homeowner could put in a request to change a bylaw.
It would have to come from the board.
Oh,
You can convince a board member The problem is every bylaw change has to go through the attorney. So unless there's something in front of the attorney right now, it's probably too late. And it's possible there is.
What I'm asking is if there was there's something in our bylaws that someone would want to change. In order to do that, you'd have to put, as a homeowner, you'd have to get a petition signatures like we did for the dues bylaw change.
Or
Right.
you have to persuade a board member to put it before the board and get a majority of the board vote.
Yeah, okay.
So.
It
it's
would be
re-
better to do a petition to present to the board from the homeowners. Rather than trying to. I mean. That could create a can of worms if somebody tried to convince a board member to do something and. Whatever, anyway, I won't go
It's
there.
not
but-
just one board member.
Well, I
You
know.
have to convince the majority.
Yeah,
But I mean, like, if you've got a good idea that you're coming forth to the board, you talk to a board member like, hey, I like this idea, I agree with it, let's put it forward, and the whole board agrees, hey, this is actually a really good idea, then yeah, it's possible it could happen between now.
Yeah. Yeah.
It could.
okay, all right.
It's kind of late for that to come up. There's also a methods of voting thing, which is the same methods of voting that's on the AGM and SGM with the dates changed, but there is something important we need to talk about. And that is UNELECT has asked to change our mailing date, which was October 4th. They want to back it up a day to October 3rd. Okay, and the reason they want to do that is they also want to change the return date that the mailed in ballots are, because right now it's 10 a.m. on a Friday. They are having trouble getting on a Friday flight by the time they get the those picked up at the post office. So what they change it to is to 4:30 in the afternoon on Thursday. So it's still the same number of days you have to vote the ballot because they are doing it early. It's just due at 4:30 on Thursday instead of 10 a.m. on Friday morning at their post office. This is only the mail-in ballots. This is not our Dropbox ballots. That's ours to control. By the time they pick up the ballots at the post office on Friday morning and get to the airport, they end up coming in late in Seattle because it used to be okay, but flights are a mess now.
See, I'm torn on this. Like, my gut says, hey, I'm happy to help them out, but the flip side to it is that means that if you're going to mail your ballot, you have to have it in by 4:30 on Thursday, and if you're actually turning your ballot in, you have until 4:30 on Friday. And I don't like having those two different dates. Like, that doesn't feel appropriate to me.
I don't have a problem with it because one's US mail and the other's a Dropbox. And right now, in a lot of places, you have to have it in a place or postmarked by,
Yeah.
and it's different than
Yeah,
what it
once
is.
you've released it to the post office, you have no control over it, so you should plan on it. If you wanted to get there on time, you should do it a day ahead.
Yeah,
But I mean, are we gonna be calling out these differences in the document on the ballot itself? Like saying, hey, if you're within 4 days of the election, if you're on Monday, maybe instead of mailing this, you should probably drop it off.
Yep,
we can. What I did in the methods of voting document, which goes in the the pamphlet, is there's by mail, drop off in person in methods of voting,
yeah,
and for you, for by mail, it says your mail-in ballot must be received by mail no later than 4:30 PM on Thursday, November 3rd. And mailed ballots will be returned to, Unelect Inspector of Elections in Scotts Valley, California. To dropped off at the admin office ballot box no later than 4:30 PM on Friday, November 4th. I could put a line in there saying, well, on the next page of the voting methods, it basically says mail in time. Vote and mail your ballot early if you're going to mail it.
Well, it's just like doing stuff for Christmas. You have to, if you want it to get there on time, you got to send it early. It's common sense. If somebody waits till the last minute, that's not N&E's problem, as long as it's all spelled out directly in there with the times and like bold lettering saying by mail, this is the time, in Dropbox, this is the time, and in person, this is the time.
Right.
And that's the way it is. And I stood up there at the meeting and explained that, because there was a question twice about it, and so they asked, since I was the one upstairs from N&E, I addressed, this is what it said, and then there were no more questions.
Yeah, people.
I think it's fine. We are dealing with the U.S. Postal Service, so if you wanted to get there in time to count, mail early, and it has to be there by a certain time. It's just simple.
But
Yeah,
and I'm not trying to be difficult or obstinate here. So what we're running into is the people who mail their ballot have one less day than the people who are dropping it off.
No, they don't. They get the ballot at the same time as all the rest of us, and they choose how they're going to do it, and they have to fit it in that category, period.
But
Nothing.
no, I mean, they have one less day. Like if we were
Well, yes,
taking
they
the
do.
day
They
away.
chose to mail it, so if they're going to mail it to Arizona, they have to get it in the time that the mailman can get it there. We're not doing anything different. It's not in our hands. It's in the mail hands. And so you have to fit it in that category.
what was happening is they were getting in to Bellingham really late on Friday night because of the flights.
Yep.
And
And
we're looking,
I'm familiar with those flights. Those are the ones I typically use as well. So
Sure.
I know how much that sucks. But are we putting the ballot box out in admin a day after?
no, we're putting the ballot box out in admin. Basically, as soon as we think people will be able to get a ballot in the mail and vote.
So
So
if it,
we don't even have to put it out on October 3rd, because they won't get their ballot for at least 2 days. What is October 3rd? It's a Monday. We could easily put it out on October 5th on a Wednesday if we wanted to, or we
Yeah,
could
'cause-
put it out that Monday.
my argument is I want to make sure that, the people that are mailing it in have the same, 30 days or whatever the window is, and the people in the office have the same 30 days to be able to put the ballot in.
Using the post office, they're not going to have that option. They're going to lose 1 day.
They've
And
already
if they're
lost.
told that up front in the mailing, they're smart enough out here to figure it out.
They've already lost time because they have to allow for the post office to get it to Scotts Valley, California from Bellingham or wherever they are. So they've already lost time by using the US Post Office as opposed to the admin ballot box.
Okay, I mean, I can tell that we're not going to agree on this one, and that's fine.
There's nothing we can do. Steve.
I mean, we
Once
can.
once a person has made a decision of I'm gonna mail this in, that then is in the US Postal's hands. And in order for it to get to Unilect in time, we're giving them one less day.
Right.
And
That's
they know
that's
that
my
coming
problem.
in up front when they got the thing, it's right there in their hand. If day one they got it, they know that if I'm gonna mail this, I'm gonna lose one day.
And that's my problem. That's the entire issue that I'm having here, is because they are getting one less day. Like if we were making it so
It's
that
because they
hold on,
chose to
hold on,
do
I'll let you
that.
talk. Please let me go.
Okay,
So what I'm saying is, if we were giving the exact same terms for the people here in the valley, I wouldn't be having any problems with this whatsoever. If we were
then
putting
they
the
have to
box
have it in
out
by
there,
Thursday here.
if we were putting the box out there, the exact same time that they can collect at Unilect, and we were pulling the box on Thursday, I wouldn't have an issue. If we instead, like, Unilect is going to start accepting them October 2nd, and we didn't put the box out until October 3rd, so it's the same window of time, the same 30 days for both in-person and mail, I have no problem. It's the fact
Well,
that
let's do
in-person
that.
has 30 and mail has 31. Mail has 30 and in-person has 31. That's my issue.
Well, let's
We
make them the
already
same.
have different times. We have 10 o'clock for the mail, 10 a.m. in the morning, and we have 4:30 in the afternoon for the ballot box. So we're already have different time schedules.
My understanding, the reason why I was okay with that previously was because that was when Unilect had the mail delivered to them. That was when they got their mail. So they wouldn't be getting another mail delivery later in the day. And that's why that cutoff was staggered in that manner.
I don't think that was it.
That was my understanding previously. And that could be wrong, but that was why I didn't have any issue with this before. So, I mean, that's my qualms with it. I mean, obviously we have a quorum here. You guys agree, and that's fine. I mean, I can say, no, I don't agree with this, and it still passes, no problem.
It still has to go through the board.
Right.
So
But I personally disagree with it, and that's where I'm at. Like if we want
So
to,
if we took the ballot box away Thursday night at 4:30,
don't do that.
I'm just saying that, I mean, that would create the same can of worms that you're getting when you have to mail it. And we are not in charge of the mail. So
and again, for me, the problem comes from the 30 versus 31 days. That's
okay.
it. Like, and if that's not a problem for you guys, that's fine.
It's not a problem for me. I think it's fine.
No, I'm good with it too.
I would submit it to the board and see if they have to approve it, let them approve or deny it, whatever. But what's going to happen is somebody's going to mail their ballot and it's not going to get there in time. And it's not going to count, and they're going to be all upset about it.
Well, that
Realistically,
already
because
happens.
They don't know.
I know.
They have no way of finding out if they are counted or not.
Yeah, that already happens. People don't mail in time. This
Okay.
time, there were no late ballots. But in other times, there've been like 4. I think last year for the AGM, there were 4 late ballots came in. And I don't know when they were actually mailed. 4 late ballots.
Could a person whose ballot, is there a way somebody that morning, if they say waited to the last minute to mail it and they had concerns, could they ask, is my ballot in there? And we can tell them yes or no, right?
Right? We can
And
tell
And
them
they
yes
could
and
vote
no.
that Saturday morning then
Right,
and get a vote to count. Okay.
Yep.
right.
So as long as there's a way to fix this, if they come late, then I just don't want anyone to say that we have created a means of not getting their ballot in. So if somebody waits to the last minute, somehow that wording should be in there. If you wait to the last minute to mail this, there is a chance it's not going to get there. So you could check Saturday morning and find out, did my ballot get in and get counted? Or, is it in? Do you have it? And if it's not, then, okay, you have to come and vote Saturday morning in person. And the mail-in one will get tossed. Or whatever
Yeah,
they do.
because it'll be late.
Yeah, it'll be
Yeah.
late and it won't count.
It's not
Is that okay,
cast
Steve?
until it gets there.
I mean, that is definitely a good option, and that is an option that currently exists. It's
Yeah.
just, again, my qualm is having a different number of days if you're dropping it off or mailing it. And that's unless we make a drastic change, which I understand why we don't want to go that route. You know,
It's essentially 12 hours, but
it is.
Yeah.
And those 12 hours can be a huge difference for some people. But
Hmm.
you know, I want it. The thing we've always talked about. You guys have heard me go over and over about it, and I'm sorry, but I want to try and make it as fair and equal as possible for everyone. And the fact that we've got 31 versus 30 is not fair and equal to me, and I can't say yes to that, and that's fine. Let's put it to a vote, and we can move forward to the next thing.
That is the last thing, I think. Let me look at the agenda.
okay, yep, that's the last thing. Well, I say it's fine with the, you know, if that's what, in order to get their ballot to count, they have to get it in a day early. I'm sorry, but I think it's fine. And they can check and find out if it made it and we can deal with it then.
Well, yeah, I'm good with it because they already have to get it in early, just by virtue of it's the US mail.
Yes. And even getting it in early doesn't guarantee it's gonna get there. It's the US
That is
mail.
right.
It's true.
And
So anyway,
that
Uh,
is right.
that's why I dropped mine in the little box, because I know where it is and I know it got there and I'm fine with it.
Yeah, this time I mailed mine. I was just curious. Because remember, we get the list from Unilect as
Yeah.
they pick up mail of whose ballot of the ballots.
Yeah.
And we check it off.
Yeah, and I mean, by putting it in the documentation, like, hey, it's gonna be mailed, check on the check the day before, see if your ballot's here. That's great. That's good information. That's definitely something that should be in there. But, you know, as I said, let's put it to a vote and move forward.
Well, I vote we allow Unilect to change the date
Yeah, I vote yes.
with documentation in the mailer when it comes out.
Yeah, I'll write something out and we can. I'll change this methods of voting to include
Okay.
more about the timing. And the ballot itself, where there's how to vote the ballot, can include more about the timing.
Okay,
Okay.
2 yeses and 1 no. It's
So
still
there's-
okay. All right.
So it's 2. No. And our next meeting is September 6th
At 4:30.
at 4:30. That's right, at the admin
Yep.
office. So do I have a motion to adjourn? Or
Motion.
are we- Okay,
And then our regular meeting, September 26th, 6:30 on Zoom.
Yeah.
Okay.
if we
All right.
decide to have it. All
Yeah.
those in